Straight after Nationwide this evening, the last episode of Barbara's World of Horses and Ponies will be shown on BBC One. The series features the inimitable Barbara Woodhouse, demonstrating that she's as talented at training horses as she is at bringing dogs to heel. Mind you, it has met with some criticism from members of the British Horse Society. They claim that her methods go against all the accepted principles governing the correct and safe way of handling horses and ponies. Some of her more unorthodox techniques, like the one of making friends with a pony by breathing up his nose, are frowned upon by aficionados of the horse establishment. Magazines for horse lovers like Horse and Hound have received hundreds of letters from irate horsemen and women all over the country criticising Barbara Woodhouse's methods. They particularly dislike her propensity for rewarding ponies with sugar, though Mrs. Woodhouse stresses that sugar should only be used at the start of training. Now, can I take that point up first, Barbara, because there's been so much criticism about this element of sugar and feeding it to the ponies in your programmes. How do you answer that criticism?
I answer that if they watch the programme, I've seen it through twice today, I gave the pony on the first programme 11 lumps of sugar. On the second programme, 9 lumps of sugar, and I quite clearly stated that I believe in rewards when you're initially making a pony do what you want, as it takes its mind off other things, and it's a reward which I strongly approve of, but which I don't carry on after that. And I would point out that last week there was a programme called The English Woman and Her Horse, and the first scene we showed was the lady with the piebald inviting it into her drawing room and giving it a lump of sugar from its teeth. Why is all the criticism of me and not one single word or no government health warning or safety warning on that programme?
Well, now let's ask Davina Cannon, because she has come here to voice some of those criticisms. I think, if I may say so, we've just dealt with the sugar thing, which I think is peripheral to the whole argument. What are your major criticisms of the series?
Well, the British Horse Society is not in the business of nitpicking about individual methods of carrying out horse breaking, etc. What the British Horse Society is in the business of doing is caring and looking after every horse and rider in this country, the everyday person. And our concern about these programmes is not the fact of them going on or the reason for why they've gone on, but the effect which they are having on the ordinary person watching the programmes.
But what is the bad effect? What are your criticisms of
Well, the main problem really is one of safety. Now, that is our prime concern always, safety for horse and rider.
Specific examples?
Specific examples, the rider must always wear a hat. We always advocate this. People who fall have very nasty accidents when not wearing hats.
Right.
Right. Well, on this week's centre page of Horse and Hound, one of the children from the Surrey Union Pony Club's branch vaulting display team, which performed on the Haflinger ponies at last year's Olympia show, this child, she looks about 10, is cantering by the look of it on 2 ponies, 1 leg on each. She hasn't got a hat on.
But the more important thing, Barbara, is do you say that the hat should always be worn, or do you say not always?
I should think 70% of people who rarely ride horses day in and day out do not wear hard hats. Hard hats were never there in my day except for hunt people, and none of the westerns have hard hats. The police don't, the army don't, none of the cowboys wear hard hats, and even the ladies that go out hunting in top hats. If you landed on your top hat, I can assure you, you'd injure your head.
Let's take another criticism.
Well, I think the answer to Mrs. Woodhouse's point there, she's talking about individual experts. We are talking about the everyday person who's not used to getting on a horse or a pony, and it's absolutely vital. They fall off far more often than the experts, if you like.
But it can't just be about hats. What are your other?
Secondly, one of our main campaigns in this country over the last 4 years has been road safety. It is absolutely vital to carry out the rules as issued by the British Horse Society in conjunction with the government and with the Association of Police Officers. And we issue a very good little road safety manual booklet, which
so you accuse Barbara of flouting the rules of road safety.
Unfortunately, on the programme, they rode and led on the wrong side of the road. She introduced an inexperienced pony on the road in a head collar. We strongly advocate that you must always take a horse on the road with a bridle.
Fine. Now,
absolute bilge. absolute bilge. I had to teach that pony to face all types of dangerous traffic. The only time it was on the wrong side, and I agree with you, horses led should be led on the inside normally, was when I was between it and the traffic, and I was hoping that great things would come by so that it could learn to face the awful things that happen to people. And 2 horses have been killed in our district from children riding in dangerous traffic. But I was there to teach the pony with my confidence, and I will point out now that program was my world of horses and ponies. It was not a teaching program, and as far as the British Horse Society goes, they recommend that the use of the voice is prohibited and will be penalised by the loss of 2 marks in dressage. They will say spurs are compulsory in all medium standard tests. Down with the British Horse Society as far as I'm concerned. I like my world of horses and ponies.
Davina Cannon, I think you deserve the right of reply. Absolute bilge.
Absolute bilge. Mrs. Woodhouse is quoting from the dressage rules, which
Yes.
operate for any 2,000 members of the British Horse Society. I am here representing 30,000 British Horse Society members, 52,000 Pony Club members, the largest youth organisation in this country, and 45,000 affiliated riding club members, all of whom have flooded the British Horse Society for the past 3 weeks with their concern that the uninitiated, uneducated rider is going to copy Mrs. Woodhouse's methods and come to grief.
I'm very flattered that people are going to copy me, but I will point out to Mrs. Cannon that that programme was my world of horses and ponies, and if I'm going to be stopped by a lot of British Horse Society, who I don't even know them and I don't want to, showing my kind method of bringing quiet to those horses, and that pony won 3rd in the novice children's riding, Judge Mrs. Knipe, 9 weeks after I backed it. Unheard of, I think, from the British Horse Society.
And that pony had been handled for 2 years prior to the programme.
It had not.
And there, ladies, I'm afraid I have to call time, otherwise we shall miss your programme a little later, Barbara. Thank you very much indeed.
That had not been handled 2 years late. 2 years. You're mixing it up with Penny Hard's pony.
Thank you very much. Frank?
Very difficult, that. I'm glad I'm not ensnarled in that particular argument. They're still at it. Anyway, we'll leave them to it for the time being, because I want to tell you about something else, because without doubt the most striking personality on the pop scene over the past 12 months has been Adam Ant. Unlike many pop stars, Adam doesn't simply go into a studio and make a recording of a song written by somebody else. In fact, he writes all his songs himself and creates a whole image to go with them. He also scripts and acts in his own amazing videotapes, like this one, Prince Charming. Year-old Adam, whose unglamorous real name is Stuart Goddard, is about to start a national tour, which opens in Cornwall later this month. He'll go on to play 7 dates in London up to Christmas Eve and tour the rest of the country during January. Now, to coincide with this Prince Charming review tour, Adam and the Ants are releasing a new single. It's called Ant Rap, and on Nationwide tonight, we're absolutely delighted to have the first ever showing of the lavish video which Adam has made to go with that single.
Well, Adam, that is a stunning piece of television. Is that kind of lavish visual presentation now an essential part of the making of a hit?
Yeah, I think that we're now in an age of audio-visual records, and I think that the audio side of the music industry is about to go bang. I just think that people want to see records as well as hear them.
How much of a part do you play in the visual images, in conjuring up those images that we've just seen?
Well, I actually write the scripts and the storylines to illustrate the lyrics, and then I take the story to Mike Mansfield, who makes the films, and we just try and get rid of the ones that aren't practical, and it changes a bit. But that particular video was very close to the original script.
It would seem to me, watching it, that you enjoy yourselves very much in the making of them.
Yeah, I think that physically it's quite painful to make it. You have to get out of bed at 6 or 5 to get there at 6, and it's very early and it's very cold. But, you know, after all the effort, at the end of the day, you feel much stronger, and you feel as though when you look at it, it's going to give a lot of people a lot of pleasure, you hope.
Now, there's been a very obvious shift in popular music in the last year or 18 months or so, away from punk and towards a more romantic approach, which you typify, really. Why do you think that happened?
Because I think there was a lot of, with the economic recession, things were very grey. Everywhere you looked, things were very depressed, and people even began to dress very grey. And I think that politics had crept into music to a very alarming degree, which I think was borne out by the riots recently. And a lot of people such as myself, decided that there was no place for that kind of political negativity in music and got back to showbiz.
So your approach is really just to entertain. There is no element of protest in what you're doing.
I think there's an element of protest against sort of ignorance, that people should think show business should be unflamboyant. I think show business should be flamboyant, and I think the only duty I serve to the public is to help them to escape from the realities of life for an hour that I'm on stage or 3 minutes on the video.
But now you lead a very respectable life, if I may say so, in show business terms, in that you neither smoke nor drink, and I gather you despise, absolutely despise, the drug scene. Do you sort of see yourself, therefore, as a leader of young people in that respect?
I don't think I'm a leader of young people. I wouldn't want to preach to young people, because I think that's very dangerous and it seems very political. But socially, I think that young people should be aware that Adam and the Ant's success has been the result of hard work and believing in what you do and having a bit of self-respect and honour about it, not the use of drugs, which I think have become, through some kind of terrible myth, a great escape or something that's very exciting, when in fact, in reality, it's just tragedy, which I say in the lyric.
Now, success in the popular music world is very ephemeral. People can be here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Will your style soon be the victim of that change, or do you aim to keep one jump ahead?
Well, I think with every video that I make, I have to sit and think, God, what can I do next? You know, because everything seems fulfilled. But again, that's just another challenge of success. I think it's very tough at the bottom, and it's even tougher at the top, because people expect more from you from the top, and when you're at the top, the only way is down, really. So just staying at the top is something that is the result of, I think, just plain hard work and imagination and pushing yourself.
Well, let's hope that you stay there for a long time.
Thank
Adam,
you very much.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Adam and his aunts, Mrs. Woodhouse and Mrs. Cannon, have just this minute left. It's wonderfully quiet here again. See you tomorrow. Good night now.